Hey guys, Rich here. In today's video I wanted to talk about something really close to my heart, as per usual, but also something that I hope is close to yours. And this is the conversation of weaknesses and strengths. You know, what are you good at, what are you bad at, or what do you know and what do you not know? Now, I spent such a long amount of time in my journey as a professional composer focused on my weaknesses. I think this is in part to do with, over in England we call them musos, which I sadly used to fall into that camp of, which is I would consider to be kind of like angry musicians who use their insecurities to put other people down, i.e. if you don't know classical theory then you're not a proper musician, or if you don't know your modes then you're not a proper guitarist. If you don't know, there's all these people who tend to use their knowledge as a pedestal to put themselves on and use it as a soapbox to put other people down, which I'm not a huge fan of, honestly. Because and unfortunately it's very common, and very common in this world of anonymity where you can just post a comment of rage. And obviously at the end of the day we're all people, so if someone leaves a mark on you with negativity by saying something or writing something or doing something to put you down, then remember that's their baggage. What we want to focus on is strengths and weaknesses. Now, I spent so much of my time worried about not being a proper musician. And it's not until now, looking back on my career, I can go, okay, I see what I was doing. So obviously I trained as a guitarist, and my training as a guitarist was in part because I didn't feel like I was good enough. The thing that has always attracted me to the guitar is playing along with my favourite songs and enjoying the process of composition, of writing a song, of writing a piece of music. And I trained as a guitarist in the hope that firstly it would give me more knowledge about the guitar, which it did, so I was very grateful for that, but also in the hope that it would fill those gaps, it would fill those insecurities. I would say, hey, you know what? I'm a fully trained guitarist. I know all my modes. I know all my chord positions, yada yada yada, yada 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 yada. And what happened was, I filled myself with all this wonderful knowledge, which is great, of course, I completely agree with that, but it was for the wrong reasons. It was because I wanted to feel less insecure about my knowledge and my abilities. And what happened was then that I decided to focus on what I enjoyed, because I realised I've trained as a guitarist, but I don't want to be a guitarist. I want to be a composer. I want to write music. I want to make sound. So I studied that, and the course I did was very much like very interesting. It was very broad, so it covered sound design, it covered contemporary classical, it covered this, that and the other, the whole range. It was a very art-based music course. So it wasn't your classical, your contemporary music degree, where you study composers' pieces and how to write in counterpoint. I trained myself outside of that course to learn about those things. And what you tend to realise is, once you learn all this stuff, you go, okay, has it changed much? Has it changed what I really want? No, I still want to write music. Yeah, it's given me some more tools and given me some more knowledge, which again is very important. But at the end of the day, like, learning counterpoint was like a brain exercise for me. I'm not going to write pieces, I'm not going to write contrapuntal pieces of music. Because it's not the type of music I want to write. So I realised I was learning this stuff because I wanted to be able to say that I understood it. Not because it was what I really wanted. So then I began, and this is the important part, I began to learn the stuff I wanted to fuel my passion, to fuel where I really want to go, which was become a professional composer. So I started studying music production, sound design, orchestration. Obviously orchestration is really important. Again, it's one of those things, orchestration for me is one of those things that actually, it's like this mystical art of orchestration, but what you're doing really is you're passing the notes around the instruments according to their registers and how easy it is to play those instruments. And you know, the same with mixing. What you're doing is you're balancing. And you know, I'll probably get some people thinking, hold on Rich, don't oversimplify orchestration and do not oversimplify mixing. But why not? Why can't we oversimplify it? Why can't we say orchestration is giving parts to different instruments? That's what it is at its simplest. Mixing is balancing the elements of sound to the greatest good of the piece of music. That's what it is. And you can go in there in a simple way, you know, the same with orchestration, same with mixing. But the thing I want to get to you is like, why are you studying what you're studying? Is it because you're doing it to fill an insecurity, or are you doing it because you feel like it is something that you want to do? And I want to go back to strengths and weaknesses here, because I spent so long focusing on my weaknesses as a bad thing. So I tended to avoid the weaknesses, or I spent way too much time on the weaknesses. So a good example, like I've always considered one of my weaknesses to be mixing and mastering. I can do it, but I can't do it like the pros do it. I mean, that's their game. So for ages I studied and studied mixing and mastering, how to do it. To me it still feels like a bit of a dark art, but I can do it. I can balance the sound and I can get a track sounding good enough. And it used to make me feel so empty and so lost. So I decided to not do it anymore. I would do basic balancing, mixing, basic mixing, and then get someone else to do the mastering. Get someone else to do even the polished mix. Why not? That's their strength. Let them have it. What was my strength? My strength is arranging sounds. My strength is the enjoyment and the passion that I have in arranging sounds. And the other thing is, I think because I haven't trained in a classical way specifically, I have an almost like a childlike naivety about things, which I really like. Now I want to ask you the question is, how can you take your strengths and your weaknesses and progress your career? Because actually my career didn't really progress until I focused solely on my strengths. So what are your strengths? You just grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down, okay, my strengths and weaknesses with regard to music. And then you look on those lists and you decide, which ones do I actually enjoy? Which ones do I, in your weaknesses, which ones do I actually want to pursue? And you try and pursue them if you want to pursue them. If your weakness is, I don't actually have any idea about sound design, but I really enjoy doing it, then pursue that. Because you're using one of your strengths, which is intrigue and enjoyment, to enhance a weakness. If you're looking at that and going, well, I don't really like sound design, but I feel like I need to do it because every other composer does it, don't do it. Do stay true to yourself, guys. It's really important that you think about your strengths and your weaknesses. Sometimes your weaknesses can be your greatest strengths. You know, for instance, like I say, my weakness, I'm very visual, very pattern based. So when I would deal with composition, I used to sit down and score everything out with a pencil and a piece of notation paper. And it would take me ages, but I'd be like, yeah, okay, I understand what I'm doing. This is great. I'm like a proper composer. But actually, I was just trying to focus on a weakness that wasn't my actual thing that I'm good at. My thing I'm good at is patterns. And as soon as I shifted my mind to patterns, and I don't mean necessarily loops, I mean patterns. You know, they're all around us. That's what music is based on. You know, all structures of music are patterns, whether they are big patterns or small patterns, whether they are ostinatos or they are sonata form, we are dealing with patterns, we are dealing with structures in a certain order. So I started to write music in that way. I started to think about what I enjoyed. And you would be just absolutely amazed by what happens when you focus on that. That little voice inside your head that's like, just do that, don't worry about what everyone else says. And this is what it comes down to. Are you doing those things because you're worried what other people will say? Or are you doing them because you want to? Too often we are dictated by other people's fears and other people's ideas of us. And I want you as a composer to reshape your idea of you and how you're going to take yourself forward. Because I want you to carve the creative career you want. If you want to get into trailer music, you do what you can to get into trailer music. If you want to get into jazz and big band, focus on that. Get the real books and have great fun with it. If you want to be a classical composer, you focus on that. But we are not in a place to judge other people because of their choices. We're all on our own paths. If someone wants to be a classical composer, great, good on you. If someone wants to be a dubstep producer, great, good on you. Do good work, stay positive, and stay true to yourself, guys.